So for everyone watching, right now Clay is a little busy doing something else today. He's got some stuff going on. But in the meantime, I'm Alex, and today I've got Nick Grandchamp over here.
Happy to be here, man.
And yeah, these are the things we've seen. We're doing things a
These
little
are the things we've seen.
Dude, these are the things we've freaking seen. We're doing things a little different today. I'm flying solo. Kind of new for us, but we're going to make it happen. It's been a long time since I've seen Nick. It feels like 100 years. So what have you been up to?
Well, you throw COVID in, and if the pay probably is like 300 years.
Dude, easy.
Man, it's been great, man. Playing in bands, working a lot, doing art stuff. My band just announced our new record coming out, which is pretty awesome to have it out finally. So it's going to be out on vinyl, CD, tape. The wonderful people over at Screaming Crow Records out of Pittsburgh is helping us out big time. Really awesome people over there.
Dude,
really like, yeah.
Dude, hell yeah.
Screaming Crow. Did I say their name wrong? I probably did, but
no, I think you were all good. I was hoping I said it right.
It basically has Screaming Crow Records, awesome people. You know what's really nice when a label, you talk to a label and they do everything they say they're gonna do.
Dude,
and
that's good.
Especially in punk rock, we're dealing with DIY punk rock labels. You know what I mean? And resources are hard. Sometimes you got no money. Sometimes you can barely put out the record, but they're a label that everything they said they were going to do, they did.
That's good.
They're really cool people, and they're punk rockers and they're tattoo artists. So
so they're in. They know what's up.
They know what's up. I mean, I've been doing this for 23 years now, and it's really great when I've worked a lot of small labels. Some have been good. Some,
of course, yeah.
Some of them just we're gonna do X, Y, and Z, and it's just okay, and then they don't. So shout out to Screaming Crow, and my old band, the River City Rebels, too. Shout out to them, Dan, and the Rebel fam, because we're all really close still. They're based out of Connecticut, and that's one of the reasons why I couldn't keep rocking with them. But they helped us out with the label and gave us the nod too, which is always a great thing for homies to do.
Yeah,
so
they have your back. That's awesome. So
that's about it. We put out a music video, and June 7th. It's out.
Okay.
We got the test presses and stuff, and they sound great. So,
dude, that's awesome. So June 7th, you said that's coming out. The whole deal.
June 7th, yeah. Screaming Crow. You can find them on the IG, the Facebook, all that.
All the places. I'm gonna take a gander and throw some links in there so people can go check it out. Go pre-order.
Yeah,
maybe? You guys got a pre-order thing going on?
Yeah, the pre-order is live, man. The pre-order is live. You can get it. It's a 12-inch record, man. So we did 13 songs.
Yeah.
So you can get it in deep purple or black.
Ooh, I like the sound of deep purple.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, the pre-orders are live. You should be getting the vinyl if you pre-order at the end of May. So it's gonna happen fairly quick here.
Yeah, it's coming up really fast. That's crazy. Because man, we're getting close to the same boat.
Yes, I was gonna ask, dude. How's everything with the rock your way?
Dude, yeah, we've had a record done for just over a year. That we're just kind of sitting on. We had a music video done, and pretty much like my son was born right after we finished tracking the album and everything. So kind of took a step back, took some time to be home, work, be there, to hang out with him. That was my main focus, and of course he still is. But now that he's a little bit older, it's a little easier to do some of it again. And gosh, only a few weeks ago we got together. We filmed a couple music videos. So there's going to be 3 music videos coming.
Wow, dude, doing work. That's awesome.
9 tracks on this record. And dude, we're just going to push the hell out of it. So there's no... We know when it's going to come out. I'm not going to share it yet. But, or you know what? I'll share it and I'll bleep it out. It's going to be coming out.
Spoiler.
Unless something happens, it is the current release for the full record.
That's awesome.
Plan in probably the first song to come out late May, early June. Do the first song and video. Do another one a couple weeks later, and then another one the Monday prior to the record dropping. And then
Smart.
We'll have it all out, and it'll be high time that this gets out there, because man, this record kicks ass. So
dude, I'm stoked to hear it. That's friggin' awesome, man.
Dude, I can't
wait. All those years ago when we met, when you were on tour, dude, man, it's just great. I mean, I think it shows how important art and music is and community, right? Because it's been hard times for a lot of folks, through COVID and stuff.
Yeah, it was rough, especially because that was like, God, COVID happened pretty shortly after we met. I mean, probably only a year later, maybe? Yeah,
it wasn't that much long. But for folks to still believe in doing stuff, because a lot, our personal lives were kind of thrown in a mixer, so
100%.
To have art and music kind of power through to be still things. And I think it's great too, because I was thinking of you and Evan from Singer of Get a Grip.
Oh yeah.
Being fathers and being able to show your kid like that it's so important to still do what you love. Like parenthood doesn't end like what you love, right? And it's almost more beautiful to show them like, hey, I have this thing I love, and they see the passion in that, and then that most likely is going to shine down on them when they get older. Be like, my dad was a rock and roller, man.
Dude, it's
he
crazy.
did shows, gigs, and stuff, and I was growing up around that, and then he takes that light and makes his own.
Because it's nuts. Like the main goal, because we all have our goals and stuff that we want with this new record and everything that we do. And for me, my big goal is like, I want my son to be able to be like, yeah, my dad wrote this crazy record and did a bunch of cool shit, and like here it is. And the big thing is like, I just hope that he thinks it's as sick as we do. And it's cool because he's only a little over a year old, but man, you can tell when he gets into some music and stuff, because he's so stoked. He'll start kind of bopping his head and like dancing a little bit, and then he'll kind of get a drop. So he's all about it, and he's got 1,000 toys, of course. Being a kid, you gotta get him everything he wants and more. And
yeah, man,
we've got a bunch of like music toys, and he goes right for the music toys all the time. He tries to play my guitars that are sitting over here. He was like doing it yesterday. We got up, and he comes straight over here, and he's trying to play with them and stuff. And so it's cool. I can't wait to see what he decides to do, if he decides to follow that route and play music.
Well, I tell you one thing, man. Just having music around and on and present, I mean, that's a huge start. That's a huge start, right? And I tend to tell people, like, I bought my nephew a guitar a couple of years ago. Oh, and, he's young. He's like 10. And I told my brother, I was like, hey, man, I don't figure he's going to probably pick this up right away. Okay. But I told him what I want him to do, even if he doesn't play it right away.
Yeah.
I want it around the house.
Yeah, just so he can see it.
So maybe when he gets to a certain age, and he's, like that, we all know that 12 to 16, when you're in that's when you're like, all right, I'm finding myself, these bands I like. But if you have a guitar kicking around the house around that age, that's when the inspiration might come. So,
dude, yeah, I mean, similar-esque situation happened for me growing up. So my godfather, when I was born, he gave my dad this acoustic guitar to give to me. And it was always around, it was in my room, or it was always somewhere nearby. And so, being a little kid, I would toy around with it. I had no clue what I was doing, but I was always intrigued by it. And,
Yeah.
Of course, he taught me like Smoke on the Water and Iron Man and stuff, and it was just like, yeah,
Yeah.
easy stuff for you to figure out. And I didn't touch it for a few years, and then, yeah, probably around that like 12 to 16 range is when I started to kind of be more interested and really started to love music. And I owe a lot of that to my dad too, because a lot of my music taste came from my dad growing up. Metallica and Striper and Winger and all that
Yes,
stuff. Like,
Dad's a rocker.
everything. My dad's a rocker, and so it was always there, and he'd be showing me stuff, and so then it was around, God, I had to be 16 when I actually started playing guitar for real. And, now, years later, here we are. I've gotten to go all over the place and meet some crazy people and go to some really gnarly places, and that's how we're having this conversation. Is
I mean, that's what I mean. It's a beautiful thing, and
it really is.
Having that around and the culture around it, and your dad kind of showing you what's up. It's a huge thing, because now look at generation. Now you're teaching your son is wild. You don't understand it till you get to a level of understanding like how insane it is, but that's pretty cool, man. I mean,
yeah, it's nuts.
It's crazy, and that's like thinking about your whole scene over there, and just watching from online how special it seems. Brian and I have talked to just you and him and the whole collective you guys have over there. I really admire, because you guys are into fucking everything. And which is so cool, right? Like hardcore is a huge part of it, as well as with me,
Dude, the get a grip flag.
But dude, it's like so much more. He's into like electronic. He's playing keys in a band. He's doing He's
got the
getting over and stuff. Yeah. And I really, really admire and love that. And it seems like your scene over there, like it's all about that, and it's special. And Vermont is too, because we're so small. But I don't. As you're talking about. I'm talking about this record coming out.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a rock and roll band, man. We're like the Stooges. I love hardcore, and I still play in a hardcore band with a couple of guys from the past. On and off. But it's like we're straight up like Stooges, MC5, Radio Birdman. Like, so a lot of people were like, "Whoa, I didn't expect this from Nick." But it's like I love it all.
It's
just
crazy,
like you,
because, like, my introduction to you was you're a rock and roller, like that's your thing. And so it's so crazy because I obviously met you at a very different time than most people, and so yeah, I met you as this rock and roller guy, this big nerd. And like I feel like that's why you and I connected so well too when we were there. And I mean, dude, we had so much fun when we were out in Vermont. I fell in love with being there the second we rolled in. I was just like, man, it is so calm, and everyone was so nice to us. And the two shows we played were both super fun. Like, I remember both of them really well. Both basement shows, because then that's when I first met John Berg for the first time.
Yes.
And we ended up staying at John's house.
Shout out to John Berg.
Dude,
He's
shout
a legend.
Out John Berg. Shout out The Path.
Yep. We love The Path, Matt Kimball. The greatest dudes. I mean, not to cut you off, John Berg has two Ladderman wrote 2 songs about how great John Berg is. So, I mean, this is like, there's certain people that just really try everything they can to support the scene, and Kimball and Berg,
dude, yeah, I swear it's the three you guys like that just keep things moving. And I mean, because you've done so many different things too. You had the arcade, you've got all your film photography stuff. You're doing all kinds of things to keep stuff going, whether it's through video games, through photography, through music. you've got so many different avenues, and watching what you're doing from over here is crazy. And same with John and Matt. I mean, dude, the path seems like it just never slows down.
Dude,
There's
I told Matt the other
every
day.
week.
Dude, for real. I mean, you said it, and I'm so proud of those dudes because, again, what we were talking about with you guys in your scene is the truly believing, believing in the culture and music. And even as we get older and we have other stuff, because, but still believing, right?
Exactly.
Through having kids, through the hard times, through the good times, through the beautiful times, is always believing that, like, music itself is important, and like being straight edge kind of goes into that, and you see like, wow, how it's so fucking important,
Yeah, it's such a big thing. And I mean, our scene here in La Crosse has definitely gone through the ringer lately, and Brian's been doing so much to keep things rolling, and
crazy
with new Spread Thin record stuff. We're trying some different things to get shows happening in other little cities around La Crosse, just to get people together. And a huge testament to it was all the work Brian put into our annual Day After Christmas show, because we had to do a totally different venue.
What, how many years now?
Dude, for ever since Rig Time started, technically.
Yeah.
So it's been a while now, and that the last Day After Christmas show that happened, totally different venue, all different everything, and it was, dude, I've never been to a show that felt quite like that. Like, everyone just felt so close again, and like the whole thing was kind of rekindled after, losing our venue here, due to some shitty situations and all that. And
just happened to one of ours up here, man.
Dude, it's so sad seeing venues go
just
away
happened
for dumb
like
things.
4 days ago. Just happened.
Really?
Like,
dude, it's hard, man. It was rough, but that show, I think, really kind of reignited the flame for everybody in our area. And I mean, people are making things happen at different spots, and the big thing for us is, and I mean, it, Rig Time's always been all ages or nothing, and we do the same thing. We're only going to play these all ages shows because music's for everybody, man. If I didn't have music and went to shows when I was a little kid, no way in hell would I be sitting here right now having this conversation.
Well, and dude, it's under attack again. I mean, that's a great point. It kind of ties into, the story how the Monkey House, after the closure of 242 Main, which was my home growing up for hardcore punk metal. After that closed, we had Jim's Basement in Burlington. That's closed because Jim moved after 2-3 decades. So 242's gone, Jim's Basement's gone, and so a lot of the shows have been going to this place called the Monkey House, which is a great place, and it was all ages.
Okay, hell yeah.
They just had the announcement that the insurance company that, insures them, doesn't want hardcore and punk shows there because they're more of a liability with the mosh pit. So basically,
wow,
all shows going on from now into the summer are canceled there. And they've been doing shows for what? 2 decades? So
jeez.
It's like
it's
a bummer, man. And it goes back into the all ages or nothing. So now they're like, oh yeah, you can have shows, but they have to be 21 plus and they can't be hardcore. And it's just like,
wow.
Or punk shows. So it's like, it's a bummer. And you gotta think, just like I know that you're seeing, it's like, we're not huge. Vermont, we have Burlington, we have Rutland, and a little bit of like White River Junction, but there's not like a, huge scene,
it's not like it's huge, because I mean, we played the 2 places. We played Rutland and we played Burlington.
Yeah, that's fucking it. Really, I mean,
it was like crazy because we had never been over there. Obviously, Rig Time had and stuff, but we hadn't. And I was like, man, this is so different from back home. And I think that was one of my favorite things about touring, was just experiencing those different scenes and like seeing what everyone else has going on. Because dude, and man, that's my
favorite thing too. And it's like, it's kind of cool because the Dreamers are going to do a run here this summer, and it feels nice to like, dude, COVID just fucked so many bands and so much of our headspace. And just like there's still like a lot of anxiety about even doing small runs because they're like, oh, was if this gets canceled? Like I know it's been way better the last couple of years, but I remember I filled in for a hardcore band. What was it? November of 22.
Okay.
And it was still super anxiety just for the 4 or 5 shows we ran that they were going to get canceled because of COVID. It's just like, you book and you promote, and then it's still like anxiety. Even though you're like, oh, most likely it'd be fine, you're still like, oh man, there's a lot of work that gets put into doing stuff.
Yeah,
and when it gets canned, it's like, man, it's really frustrating.
Yeah, dude, it's a bummer because I mean, even now, like the idea of like booking a handful of shows and stuff, it's so stressful because it might get canceled because all of a sudden the venue can't do it, or someone did shitty, or everybody got sick, like this and that. There's a million things, and it's so much more like nerve-wracking now. And I mean, we've been pretty fortunate that everything we've done is a little better. Like it's definitely, things have gone smooth lately. I mean, dude, there's so many cool things going on around us. Like we've got a lot of really good people over in Milwaukee, nice. Chicago area that we're tight with. And dude, if we go play Milwaukee, like guaranteed every single friend of ours is going to be around.
And dude, I think it's been a lot of beautiful things that have come out of the pandemic when it comes to the punk and hardcore scene. Like I think it kind of jumpstart younger kids to be a part of it.
Sure, yeah.
And I've been seeing younger bands. I think that's super rad. I think the youth are kind of questioning more about like the government's attention to like be there for us because for 3 years, I'm not getting political or anything, but basically
you and I have a lot of the same views though.
For 3 years, basically, the government's like, yo, we're going to be here for you. We want you to have this vaccine. We want you to have all that. And then, like, they're out there fucking bombing kids. So it's like, what's the best interest? Like, what is their interest? Do they want us to be healthy? That's why they gave us all this shit? Or they just don't fucking care? And the bottom line is, don't ever trust that shit. Don't
100%.
Don't ever be on a fucking team. Like, it's not about... It's like... It's so easy as care about your community. Yeah. Care about what you care about what you can actually fix and change, right?
Dude, yeah.
People spend so much time on being like, oh, well, this X person, no, yeah, he might have done that, but he doesn't fucking, and it's like, dude, fuck all that shit, man. It's all dark matter. Like, politics,
100%.
Both sides, dark ass matter. That's my opinion on it. People want to, like, wave a flag. Just be careful, man, because, you don't know these people. You don't know what they truly, what they're telling you is probably not the fucking truth.
Because, man, that's the thing. It's so important. Just take care of the people around you and what you can really handle right here. I mean...
Yeah, what you can do.
That's why, it is so special what we're all a part of. I mean, there's so much more compassion in our scenes in terms of music and art than anything else I've experienced. I mean, people really come together for this stuff and take care of one another, and it's just so refreshing when that happens. Because there's so many bad things going on in the world. There's so much shit that, like, unfortunately, you and I can't do anything about. But, man, if we can take care of each other around here, like, that's a win in my book.
Dude, absolutely. And just to, like, being creative, like, I've been seeing kids do zines again. Fuck, that's awesome. Put out your own zine. And everyone's like, well, how you do it? You just literally ask your friends, like, oh, dude, I saw that you draw. Cool. Can you donate one of your drawings to my zine and talk about, oh, cool. Oh, this guy's putting out a record. Hey, man, talk about your record in a couple paragraphs. Oh, cool. It's so it's about doing stuff,
Yeah, making things happen.
I mean, it can happen. It's a beautiful thing. It's all happening. I think really we're gonna see is like right now, music in general, touring in general is so bloated because everyone wrote records during the COVID, like we did and like you guys. So everyone's trying to do it, but it's gonna start tapering off. And I want to, dude, it's crazy. I want to support everyone, but when there's like 80 shows happening because
Yeah, it's
everyone
like,
has
oh
this new
man, like,
record.
where do I go, or like, what am I buying first, kind of a thing.
Yeah, and also when you get a certain age, like when you start to get older, well, especially me, because I'm almost 40, it's like I can't go to everything because I got to work. It's like
Dude, same.
I can't take days off like I did back when I was in my 20s, where I'm like, whatever, I'm pushing carts at Price Chopper, I'll just not go in. It's like
Dude, I feel that
I
because
got a
man,
house and a wife and everything, you know. So
dude, yeah, I feel that, especially now with having the kiddo and stuff, even just before that, leading up to it and stuff, it's like, oh, I can't just take off for the hell of it or call in and just be like, whatever, I got something else to do.
right.
Like now I got
Well,
to take
yeah,
care of
you
shit.
know, and then I think it's cool because the scene is going to be great with the next round, and I feel like my bands and my creativity, like I'm so blessed to be kind of part of the scene.
Yeah,
But it like in my role, especially since I've done it for so long, is that it's like I'm a part of what they're doing instead of they're a part of what I'm doing.
yeah,
I view it that way. You know what I mean? It's like I'm stoked that I can help a band like Kennedy Park that's from Rutland, like get gigs
yeah.
and show them how to put out a record and what to do. Not taking all credit because they're doing a lot,
Oh,
but
of
I'm
course.
stoked that like they can come to me and ask me questions, and like that's my role now. You know what I mean? It's weird when you get to your late 30s because you can see a whole, like, even in your early 30s you don't see it, but when you get to your late 30s you see that like there's a whole generation that's now before me. You know what I mean?
Dude, it's
Like
so
that.
nuts because I mean we've got some of these like newer, younger bands, a few years younger than I am yet, and they're already doing just amazing stuff and making a name for themselves in our area and our communities and whatnot. And I'm so excited to be able to be a part of that, in the sense of like they're helping us out, like
Yeah,
100%. I mean, for a show that we're going to be doing in the near future, we hit them up because we were like, yo, like, you guys are killing it around here and people want to see you. Like, will you play our show so that
right.
like more
Yeah,
people come
yeah.
hang and stuff? Like, that probably wouldn't have gone unless you guys were playing, because like we need you guys just as much as you need every other band in the scene to have something going on.
You said it perfectly right,
Yeah.
man. And it's cool, like I said, it's cool that like you can have all these different eras doing the same thing within like a community, right?
Yep.
Like there's a lot of like older rat, like I worked sound production for like 10 years doing live sound production, and I met a lot of old school ratty like punk rockers and rockers that I looked up to when I was in my early 20s, like, you know, working in live sound, and then like that inspired me. And now as I get older, like there's a group of people that you just have to like. That's why it's so important to make sure we keep ego and craziness out of our music scene, because like when these young people come to shows, like if they have a bad experience because someone like be flexing about stupid shit and wilding out, like, you know what I mean? Like it's on us, man, because
Yeah.
like some people won't go to another show. Like if they go and they're like really interested and they have a bad experience with anyone, they're like, nah, man, this is fucking stupid. I don't want to,
Yeah.
like, if this is, you know.
Yeah, and it's a bummer because of course, no one wants that to be the experience that a newcomer has, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, you can't always stop it. I mean, you're gonna have bad eggs in the room, and that's
Yeah.
just what happens. But it's so important that everyone does the best they can to give off a good impression, because man, if it weren't for shows growing up and stuff, I don't think I would be as social of a person as I am, and I don't think I would care as much about my community in the way I do.
Dude, I mean, you said it
Because I was
best.
so welcomed into everything. If it weren't for those guys that I was looking up to and local bands from around here and touring acts that were coming through, if it wasn't for them welcoming me because they were just happy someone was there, no way would I have, picked up the guitar and gone on tour and released records and continued to do stuff to help our scene. I mean, this podcast is a big thing, and I wish Clay was here to kind of tell you it, but I'll kind of fill you in on the idea that he's had the idea for this show for a handful of years now. He's wanted to do this where we can talk to people in our scene, we can talk to people in scenes where we've been on tour, just anyone that has anything to do with art, music, community, whatever it is. We wanted to talk to them and hear their thoughts and what's going on for them. And when he brought this up to me, then this would have been back in probably later November, early December is when we first started talking about doing this, and then the first episodes were coming out December, January-ish, and with our scene changing because of the venue going away, and everyone kind of was just like, okay, what do we do now? Like, let the dust settle. We were like, okay, well, we need this to be the thing that connects people. And if they listen to the show and they hear all the stories that we have and that our guests have and whatnot, the one thing I hope that people get out of it and get out of the conversation we're having is, don't be afraid to go to a show and meet people. And don't be afraid to, like, step out of your comfort zone and just see what's going on. It might not be the kind of music you fuck with, but man, if it's something that gets your foot in the door, by all means do it, because there's so much good music out there and there's so many good people out there. You just got to go and find them. And
dude, absolutely. And I think, obviously we're trying to combat, like, social media and devices that shows, because I know this is going to age me, but when I first went to shows in the late 90s, early 2000s, like, there was none of that. So I was in this environment hanging out with older kids and going to shows and just being like, this is, like, insane. Because we didn't have social media. So it was like everyone, like, it was part of the scene. It was like, it is that way now, but it's like, oh, if I want to talk to you, I can go home and chat with you on my phone. Like, it wasn't really like that when we first started. And especially here, like, we had a huge scene. Like, every school had, like, 4 bands. But, so, kind of piggybacking what you're saying, I know it's a long way around it, if you see someone that's obviously probably new at shows and kind of being alone, trying to figure out what they're doing, even maybe on their phone because they're anxiety, like, go up and be like, oh, cool, sure, or, hey, I haven't seen you are you from around here? And, you can do it in a sincere way where it's not, like, off-putting,
You're not forcing yourself onto somebody and, like, trying to make them talk to you. But, like,
and just check them. If they don't want to talk, then that's cool, but at least you were, like, you approached them, especially, smaller towns, smaller places where you kind of know everyone that's going to come for the most part, and if you see someone by themselves or try to figure out if you can do anything, to maybe they saw a flyer or someone told them about it and they want to figure it out. And another thing too is these young bands, as an older dude, even if you're seeing them, like, try, they might not be a great band. It takes as dude, it takes, like, a good year and a half to really know what you're doing as a band. Like, for real. Yeah. Like, even with experience, to really be locked in and knowing what it takes, like, it's like a year and a half.
Dude, yeah, it definitely takes time. I mean, when you saw Misadventures, when you met us, that was when we finally figured it out. We were that's when we were like, okay, this is it. Like, this is how we do it. This is how we're gonna sound. And, like, we finally figured it out. And of course, world shut down, the band fizzled out and stuff. And most of us still talk. I mean, obviously Tristan and I do, because he plays in, and we play in Caught One together. And him and I are best buds. And Christian, who was singing for us at the time, him and I chat here and there. Last time I was in Cincinnati, of course, I made it a point to hang out with him at the show because, well, he lives, 10, 11 hours away from me, so it's hard to just hang. So it's so special that we have those things. And, dude, just, Yeah, just make people feel welcome. I think that's the super important thing, and put the phone down
And
for a
book
minute.
book people's bands that are trying, right? So
Yeah,
like you can always have a band opening. Like if they're not where they need to be yet, don't say that. Don't be like,
right.
oh, you're not. Book them, give them, because you need to have confidence,
One hundred
and you
percent.
need to have those. Even if you're like, okay, they know 6 songs and they're not great, book them, and then see where they are in 4 or 5 months, and
Yeah,
see,
give them
okay,
a
wow,
chance.
they're practicing, they're trying, and then book them again. And then by the time, there'll be the next title fight. You hear
Dude,
the
yeah, you never know what you're
you
gonna
hear the
get.
Benzingers talk about. They're like, yeah, we used to book this band called Title Fight just to, they were good, but and then they're like they're bigger than
Yeah, it's
it's
crazy
just
because dude, if people didn't take a chance on misadventures back in the day, I don't think I would have kept doing music, or at least wouldn't have like
yeah.
pushed so hard to keep doing it, because people kept giving us a chance, and they were like, okay, like we can see they're doing something, they're trying, and we made a name for ourselves after a while, and we got out there and we did some really cool shit, and then we had smaller bands, coming up right behind us, and it was the same thing. We were making sure that we were getting them on shows and stuff, being like, yo, like we want
Yeah.
this band to do stuff with us because they've got something really special, and now those guys playing fucking amazing things. Like, it's just so crazy because if you don't give people a chance, they're probably not going to grow, and they're not going to be able to do new things and get better. Like,
Well, and another thing about music, and I know you've known this, and Brian knows this, and a lot of the true believers know this, is that you don't know how much you influence someone,
yeah, you have no
inspire
idea.
someone. You don't know. Like, they might keep it under wrap. Like, I've had people, especially because I've done it for like 23 years. Like, I haven't not been in the band since I was 15. Like,
Crazy.
there wasn't any time that I have not played. Like, I'm not, that's not a flex. It's just like I haven't stopped.
Yeah,
Like, I
you
just
just kept
haven't
going.
stopped. Like I've always been in a band. Like so anyways, the reason why I say that is because people will come up to me and be like, dude, like I saw your band in high school, and yeah, I haven't been to a show in a decade, but like, it was a really big part of my life at that time because I, lost some X, Y, or Z. And it's just like, but you don't know. You're putting
Yeah,
your art in the world. Those people may never speak up. So
yeah, you
just
have
that's
no
why it's
idea.
important.
Another great example, and Clay and I have talked about it. Like, Clay was a huge inspiration for me. I loved his band. They were like one of the first handful of bands that I really, really got into in our area when I started going to local shows. And I was like, holy shit, this band's crazy. Like, his band was like the Chariot in a way. They were very influenced by like the Chariot and Let Live for like stage antics and kind of just crazy metalcore, hardcore, all over the place rock and roll. And I loved that. The first time I saw them, I went, I want to do something like that. I want to be crazy. And like, I channeled Clay's energy in my stage presence because I was like, people are going to pay attention if you're doing crazy shit. Like if you're throwing stuff around and you're all over the place, people are going to pay attention. And I took that and I
They
ran.
see
And
that you love it.
yeah, and then, now all these years later, Clay and I do this together, and hell, Clay and I work together, so we see each other 4 or 5 days a week, depending on, how we do the podcast and stuff. And him and I have talked about it a bunch, how inspirational his band was, and vice versa, because like he fell out of the scene for a while, just some shit happened with his band, and he needed a break from what was going on music wise and take a step back. And we kind of inspired each other to keep going and keep doing things. And it's so cool because we're seeing all these new bands coming up in our area or surrounding areas, and it's just crazy. It's crazy what music can do and where it takes people. Because when Misadventures did the tour that we met on, that was, God, I'm trying to think. Tristan had just graduated high school,
He was
and
young, I remember. Yeah,
yeah, because I
yeah.
graduated the year before him. Him and I are only a couple months apart, but like he was really
You're
stupid.
still young bucks in my book. You know what I'm
Dude,
saying?
we're just a couple little
Very
babies, and but dude, that
baby
was so
still.
crazy because we never thought that our silly little band would take us to see anything we saw. You know, we never expected to end up in New York or Vermont or way down in Georgia and back up. We never thought we would go to those places or see anything like that because of the music we were doing. But people gave us a chance and ran with it, and we just kept going and kept pushing because we saw that people were starting to give a shit.
Dude, I mean,
it's so cool.
It's really a weird belief that that it's almost like straight edges, where it's almost like you just believe so much that it's there's not another world, because the only option is to believe.
Yeah.
You know, in the sense of I'm almost 40, and people ask me about being straight edge at my age, and it's just like, I don't mean this to sound like rude or snotty. It's just it's not hard for me, because it's just the way I live my life. It's you got to think too. Like in my early 20s, I definitely was very, I don't want to use the word militant, because I wasn't, but I was really you knew I was fucking straight edge in my 20s. But I think back, I had to be, because that was a very crucial time of people kind of forming what their life's going to be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it was I was all my friends are doing shit. I'm putting the flag in the fucking ground. And it was tough. Those early 20 years where, you saw certain people go a certain way, and you were going the other way, and it was tough, and really talented people being taken out with the addiction. And but now that I'm on almost 40, it's just man, I've been straight edge for so long. I'm only of 3 people around here that haven't broke edge.
Wow,
it's just
crazy.
And it's just, to me, man, it's when you see the amount of fucking heartache and struggle and insaneness that any addiction can bring. So we're finding out phone addictions, we're finding out a lot. So it's beyond alcohol and drugs. It's it brings you a heartache that you can't even explain. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's when we don't know what's in the future, the only thing I can say is to try to live it as present as you can. I'm here for all my friends and viewers that are watching, that are trying to figure out how to get help. And it's more important now than ever, after all this shit in the world that we've gone through. Fucking COVID shit. It's you gotta be yo, I need fucking help. I need to figure this out, because it could be life or death.
Dude, yeah, kind of same thing for you. How you put it, it's just so easy to be straight edge, because that's really the only way for me. And that's kind of how it's always been. I don't know, there was never really much temptation or anything, and I grew up in a family where my parents didn't drink, they didn't smoke, they didn't do anything. My dad's allergic to alcohol, so he just was already no, I don't drink. But then he was he's straight edge without being straight edge. He was never about it, and his dad smoked 1,000 packs a day and stuff, and he was I don't like that. It smells bad and it's dumb. And I felt the same way, and I was I have asthma, smoking's stupid. My lungs already don't work right. And my mom would have a drink here and there, but growing up, she didn't go crazy. She would maybe have a Mike's Hard Lemonade on a sunny day because it's nice out. Yeah. And that was the extent of it. And I had plenty of friends who took the route of partying and drinking and smoking and this and that. And most of them have grown out of that phase by now. And they're all lucky
for some, but some people, because you can't count on that. The thing where it's depending on your personality, and your personality has a lot to do with the addiction. If you have addictive personality, or if you have any type of trauma, which most of us do,
of course,
the phase thing, you can't rely on it, man. For just it's stopping one day.
Yeah. There's no promise. The only certainty is just keeping yourself away from it and and abstaining from it. And I mean, hardcore taught me straight edge and made me understand how important it is to me. And
Yeah.
you know, meeting Shay, my fiance, she definitely was not straight edge. You know, she would smoke here and there, kind of a thing, but never like crazy. But when we met and like I was explaining what straight edge was because she didn't fully know what it was and you know what it meant to me, and I was just like, yeah, it's super important for me. Like, I don't care what you do your thing, but like these are my beliefs and this is just how I feel, and it's really important to me. And now here we are all these years later, and she's claimed edge a couple of years ago, and like it's so important to both of us because we've both seen the really dark side of things, between old friends and just walk outside for a little while, go to a bigger city, and you're going to see addiction in so many different forms in so many different places.
Yeah.
It breaks your heart because, you know, you don't want to be, it's so easy to be judgmental and look down on people who are struggling. But like, man, they're trying, like some of those people are trying. You know, there's people who are
it's really sad, and anyone can get addicted. I mean,
anybody
doesn't matter. We're minutes away from, you know, bad decisions, seconds away. I mean, I think too a huge thing about foundation of any friendship, relationship, anything is much like your fiance, my wife's straight edge, and it's like we value that for a lot of reasons, but a huge reason is that our mistakes is our own, you know. Absolutely. Like, you know, we either take accountability or not, you know. There's no substance saying, well, yeah, you know, I was up late last night, maybe I was like not knowing and I didn't come home to 4:00, you know. And it's like there's no excuse, you know. Right, it's like your fault. And you know, that's where you grow as a human, with accountability. Accountability is such a huge it's miracle grow for your soul, you know. And that's why I think straight edge is so important, because straight edge, and it will teach you if you really get into it, like it forces you to have accountability. I mean, you can deny shit all you want, but you know, if you're running high and wilding out and you're straight edge and there's no other, you can't blame anyone besides yourself. It's like,
you can't blame a substance, you can't blame another person. That's all on you.
Yeah, I mean, people are gonna say, yo, this guy's a fucking loser because he's out fucking, you know, being a jerk to people, and, you know, like, you can't be like, oh, I was drunk. It's like, nah, man, you gotta grow that soul, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, it really comes down to and how are you gonna be there for your community or your people? Like, if you're all fucked up all the time, I'm not trying to shame our viewers, anyone.
Absolutely.
But, yo, man, basically, you got to check yourself constantly. And I've had many friends who don't think it's an issue, and then they wake up one day and it's like, man, I've just been lying to myself. And you just don't want to be too old when that happens. That's why it's like, it was no matter what age you are, figure it out, because not good.
Yeah, you don't know. And I mean, it's so important for me too, because like, obviously my son's the most important thing in my life. I mean, there's nothing like being a dad and making sure that, you know, he can grow up safe and healthy and happy and have everything he needs and more. I mean, I'd do anything for him, and I hope that, you know, as he gets older and those choices come up for him once he reaches that age and stuff, that he can look at the, you know, mom and dad and go, well, they're clean, they don't mess with that stuff. But like, they're not shoving it down anyone's throat, you know.
Exactly, and that absolutely. If your environment, even as a kid, it's such a huge part of your development, you know. Yeah. And there's a respect level along. There's no extremes, you know. And the thing is to me, people that say, well, straight edge is extreme, I'm like, not really, because it's just a belief. Like, if you're going around being militant, that's an extreme.
Yeah, of course.
But if you're just like, yo, man, yeah, we all, but that's a part of an ego soul problem, right? Yeah. You know, it's just like vegans, and it doesn't go, you know, the anti-maskers and the crazy maskers. Like, it's just extremes on both ends, right?
Oh yeah.
That's what you gotta find the middle, the zen of it all, man. It's like, it's not that one or two wrong. It's just like finding out what's the truth, and the truth is usually always in the center of both fucking views. So if you're straight edge and you're just like, yo, I'm gonna have a home that I'm not gonna have any type of substance that my kid has to see me be aggressive or be even just unpresent, you know? Yeah. So there's a amount of respect that a child will have for their parents, because as they get older, especially when they're like, man, hey, my best friend's parents yell and scream at them all the time, and they're hitting the handle, and it's just like, you don't even have to scare them like Christians did back in the day or whatever. Like, they're just gonna be like, yo, thank God for my parents, man. Like, I'm out here getting fed, and they're treating me well. And Johnny's parents are fucking not. So
yeah, because I grew up that way. I mean, my parents were so careful and made sure that we had a happy home. And
man,
because man, I definitely had friends that, like, you know, they'd be screaming and swearing at their parents, and their parents would be screaming, swearing back at them. You know, they'd be having a beer or whatever, and I'm just like, dude, how do you live like that? Like, my parents could never scream and yell at my parents, like, no matter how
it's respect. Well, and that's another thing hardcore teaches you, is respect, dude. You know, so much is about respect.
Respect goes a long way, and I feel like I think that's so lost on some people.
Well, and we think going to accountability is like, we're always, every day we should be growing in some matter. I mean, whatever it is, it's like, if you're not trying to seek the truth within yourself, you're not trying to make other people's life easier, because you're like denying shit. And we all have our issues depending on what we grew up with and our way of life, our childhood. But that's why you have to work so hard every day of like, okay, man, like, do I really feel this way, or am I trying to project like my insecurities out on people? You know, you really got to cut it down. And that's why art and music is so important to do, because with art and music, you put something out into the world that might not even get any response, right? So, and what I mean by that is that in itself will humble you. Right, it will kill your ego to a certain extent. It should never prevent you from doing it. But like, if you put something out and it's not like love, you know, it doesn't have 80 million likes, that doesn't mean the art's bad, but it checks your ego a little bit, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, God, we put out music that people didn't catch on to until 6 months down the road.
Right.
And I mean,
right.
Putting out an album, soon here, it's scary because you don't know if people are if they're gonna latch on and they're gonna get it, or if it's just gonna go under the radar. And of course, you know, we're gonna do all we can to make sure people hear it. But what's so special about putting out music, and I'm sure you'd feel the same way. You know how it is. It's, you're putting out the most vulnerable parts of you, and you know, we all had stuff to say, and we all agree with the things that are talked about on this record. And I hope people, in the way that I hope people find this with this show too, is they find something they can relate to, and they can take that and they can make a positive thing for themselves out of it. Music did that for me, and that's what made me go, I want to make music for people, you know. Yeah, I'm making it for myself, but that's important. Yeah, well, but I mean, people, if they can find something out of it and make a positive and take it, and you know what, they're gonna go and they're gonna do really good things with their life, and they can look back and go, that album and that verse or that chorus or that song in general just made me feel this way, like I needed to do this, then fuck yeah. Like that, even if I never hear back that someone felt that way because of a song we wrote, as long as someone gets that, it's awesome.
It's already well worth the creation of it.
Absolutely.
And you know, it's as you get older too, it just means so much. Like, you know, the Dreamers, you know, the rock and roll band, but like Nate and I, you know, we're both the like songwriting force behind it. And you know, we're writing music in vein of like bands like the Stooges and stuff that were like, you know, they're 40 years old. So it's like, we already know that, like, some people aren't going to get, like, what that sound is and was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's like, we love it, and we love what that energy brought, you know, during that time. And, you know, people do get it. I'm not saying they don't, but it's like, I don't expect, like, the normal 19-year-old know to be like, oh, yeah, you know, Radio Birdman, or, oh, yeah, the Stooges, or, oh, yeah, Thin Lizzy, you know? Like,
Of course,
they've
yeah.
probably heard Boys Are Back in Town, which is great, but, like, the riffs and the songwriting, you know? But that's fine, because everyone gets connected different ways.
Yeah,
you know, there's
everyone
folks
kinda
like
finds a
that.
way.
Yeah, so it's just doing it, right? Just like Getting Over, you know, Brian's like,
Yeah.
he loves that 90s, and, you know, and it's great, but, you know, we were talking that there's so much music out there that you can't expect everyone to be like, oh, yeah, this is my cup of tea, you know?
Right, and that's what's so fun for him, too, I think, is, like, he can express himself through so many different types of music.
So many. Yeah, it's insane. It's beautiful.
You know, some people, they're really going to fuck with Rig Time, but they're not going to give a shit about Getting Over. Or maybe they're
or the other way
really
around.
like Getting Over, and they're not going to give a shit about Rig Time or, you know, anything like that. And same for the things that I do. I mean, Spread Thin and Caught One are two really different bands. And even, I'll throw Misadventures in the loop, too. Misadventures is so drastically different from Spread Thin.
Yeah, no, I say all three different bands, yeah.
Yeah, you know, they're all heavy,
That's a
hard
beautiful
bands,
thing,
but-
because it opens up.
Yeah, it opens up a door for
Pathways.
people to be like, oh, like, okay, I like what this is talking about and what this is doing. And for me, Spread Thin is by far the most fun I've had with any band I've done. And the best I've felt about any music I've ever written. That, you know, I hope when people hear these songs, they're going to go, oh, shit, like, they're pretty pissed off, but, like, they're having fun.
Well, you know it's weird, because, you know, I've always been a more of the punk side of hardcore. I love it all, but listen, so like, you know, I love, like, the punk agnostic front. I love the crossover stuff, but I loved all, like, the fast parts, right?
Yeah.
Growing up, I was all about that. And then, like, the pandemic happened, right? And then I was like, listen, I love Madball. I love, like, you know, that more beatdown stuff, but I was never, like, in love with it, right? So, like, I was like, you know, pandemic happened, and right after the pandemic, you know, you have this angst. And I started listening to The Pain of Truth all the time. And it's so funny that it's like, it's so ignorant in some parts, and, like, just, like, crazy, which, like, the 19-year-old Nick would have been like, what are you doing? But it's, like, so sincere and pure at the same time.
It's so
like,
cool.
it's there's some parts that I'm like, this is just fucking but I love it.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that shit can grow on you, and you can start to get what, like, people are doing.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still not a beatdown dude at all, but, like, I listen to, like, Pain of Truth, I listen to D Block, and I listen to, like, Never Ending Game.
Oh, dude.
And I'm like, I'm like, I get it. I fucking get, like, I get what's going on here.
Yeah.
And some of it's just like almost comedy, because I'm not being mean to them, I'm not picking on their, but it's just like, just fucking crazy,
some of it's
you know?
just so silly in the best way. Like,
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like,
dude, it's not so.
but it's also so sincere. You know, they're like, you're like, this guy means what even these lyrics are crazy.
Yeah,
he fucking
he means it. Like, so the first time I ever, like, found out about Pain of Truth or Never Ending Game was actually together. I had seen them both when Tristan and Shay and I went to see Terror in Chicago, like, 2 years
Love
ago.
Terror, dude. I love Terror.
Dude, one of the best
Forever.
bands.
Probably, honestly, we just saw them in Montreal at Sarah's birthday.
Oh, hell yeah.
Dude, they played with Hatebreed. Dude, Terror's, like, iconic. Probably, no joke, probably top 3 hardcore bands of all time. I mean, the lyrics, everything. So, yeah.
They're so
I mean,
good
absolutely.
in that way. And, like, that, it was so cool because they brought out Pain of Truth and Never Ending Game because, like, they believed in what those bands were doing and what they were talking about. And I remember being right there at the stage and we were just like, holy shit, these bands are nuts. Like, I already loved that kind of stuff, but I had never heard of those bands. I'm like, dude, these guys are insane. I was like, this shit's so silly, but like so real and captivating. And now,
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Or they're like higher up on lineups for, Flyover or for LDB or like,
Yeah.
all of those things. And it's like, dude, that's crazy, because I saw them like right before they really like popped. And
Yeah.
now,
Like Jesus Piece is the same thing. It's like, I love him. It's just so it's crazy. I'm just like, I definitely get it, and I think I find myself liking it more and more every time I'm getting into it.
Of course.
Because there is such a truth and like sincerity, being sincere. And I think that's, no matter, we were talking about earlier, no matter what the style of music is like, if there's sincerity, like you put on the first Stooges record and it's like, you might not even love Iggy's delivery because it's unique, and you're like, I just like, for me, Soundgarden.
Yep.
All these like, and I understand they're super iconic. It's just not my cup of tea, and I understand what they did, and I'm not taking anything away. But I can feel how someone can listen to the Stooges and be like, what the fuck is this old man doing without a shirt? And 100%, because I could even say, like, there's Stooges songs that like make zero sense. But the energy and the sincereness, No,
it's so cool. That's the other thing I like about doing this show so much, is getting to hear about everyone else's backgrounds in music, because we all have so many artists in common and stuff. But being able to have those backgrounds, I mean, you have such an eclectic background of music and art and all the things you're into. I mean, for anyone that's like paid attention to your room right now, you have like one of the sickest rooms ever. Your house is just full of everything I love.
Yeah, Grandchamp has an arcade, a retro room. My wife has a goth lair. We have the practice space downstairs.
Dude, you have like the
crazy.
House.
I mean, fortunate. Yeah. And this is from a kid who grew up in poverty with nothing, so it's even more like insane, Because I mean, I never had it. But the thing is I've always been thrifty. Everyone's like, "Oh, how'd you get this?" I'm like, dude, because I'm sociable. I just talk to people. I'm like, "Oh, hey, you have this, old arcade that's been sitting in the corner of this pizza place for the last 10 years. You want to sell it?" Like, "Oh, yeah, I don't know how to fix it." "Oh, how about $100? Sure, okay." Yeah. It's just that's the thing about being in the scene too. It's just,
you never know
talking to people. Like, well, dude, you got to understand, when again, I'm older, in the sense of like, my first shows were the early 2000s. So like, when I was getting into punk and hardcore, it was like 77 punk was huge, right? Yeah, so like, there was a resurgence of like the Clash sound, like Ramones, like, and that's how I became a huge fan of the Rebels, which a band that I actually joined, which was crazy. They were on Victory Record. They were on Victory Records. They were on Victory Records when Terror was on Victory Records. They were, Slapshot was on. This was like, and that was a band that was from basically 20 minutes away. But they were a punk rock band that were on a hardcore label.
Yeah.
So I would listen to like Racism, Religion, and War, which was like, a street punk album when I was 15, 2000, year 2000, it's like, it was crazy. And you would go to shows here. And in fact, we used to have shows at the Dana Rex Center. And there is My Chemical Romance first out-of-state show ever was in Rutland, Vermont. And they talk about it. People are like, "You're lying." I'm like, "I'm not lying." They go on an interview, type in it on YouTube, and they're like, "Yeah, we went up to Rutland, Vermont. We played the Dana Rex Center. It was the best time we ever had as a band. And this is My Chemical Romance."
Yeah,
and there's pictures online of it. It's not like a folk tale.
Yeah, like it's a real thing.
It's like
proof.
So this is like before they were big, and this is that time that I was getting in. This kid named Johnny Grassi, I've always talked about him and all my stuff. He started bringing me to shows, and it was like insane. And again, before social media, so it was like, wow, I'm going these bands. I knew immediately I wanted to be in a band after seeing these bands play. and the way people were reacting to those bands, I was like, I want to feel that, you know.
Yeah.
And then there was like, you know, babes everywhere, and I was like, wow, why wouldn't I?
Why wouldn't I be in this?
I'm known for the booty post on the Instagram, so what can I say?
Dude, you got it going on. This man is the booty man.
The booty man, you know, you got to have some fun. It's, you know, the biggest thing is, it's like, yeah, man, you know, I love everything from 77 punk, straight, boring-ass punk bands that no one cares about, to hardcore. Hardcore was my youth, and that's the thing. It's like, when I play in a rock and roll band now, like I do, everyone's like, oh, you forget about hardcore? I'm like, dude, I saw Have Heart went before you did. I saw Verse before you did. You know, it's not a competition, but it's like, dude, it was like, my youth.
I didn't forget. Like, I was there in the front lines.
It's like, dude, I mean, I was in, like, so many hardcore bands. Weight of the World, Get a Grip, you know, a bunch of stuff. Get a Grip was a band for like 7 years. It's like, you know, it's not like I forgot about hardcore.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If anyone says you forgot about hardcore, look behind Nick right now and tell him he forgot. Fucking
tell me you forgot.
Dude,
you know what's insane? Not a flex. Get a Grip hasn't been a band for like 7 years. We play one show a year.
Yep.
We play one show a year. We sold out that show in December. And it's like, dude, we haven't been a band and people still care to come see us. You know, it's not like I'm trying to flex, but I haven't forgot about hardcore is what it comes down to.
Yeah, you didn't leave it behind. I mean, it's such a big part of who you are. And
I mean, yeah, we're just going back into straight edge too, man. It was a huge part, but yeah. Dude, we should talk about WrestleMania before we close, because I think that's important.
So, favorite match of last night for night one?
You go first.
I want to say that, oh man, I don't know. Obviously, the headlining match was incredible. I think it did end up being my favorite after going back and rewatching some stuff today. But I really enjoyed that ladder match.
I think the ladder match was great. You know, I think it was probably the most entertaining. I gotta be honest, man. Overall, as a show, I think the match cards weren't as big as I like in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I agree.
What I mean by that, it's like, you know, you saw Rey Mysterio and Dom, you know, having a tag match, and it's like we saw that last year, and I think that last year's match was more special because, you know, father versus son. Yep. And it was just like, okay, this is like part B of that. Yep. And it's like, I didn't really need it. It could have been a different thing. But, you know, it was just because they wanted the Eagles guys to come and jump in. Yeah, you know, so
give Andrade.
But there was a lot of other matches that were just like, oh, it's fine. You know, like the Miz, you know, I love that in the ladder match. But it's like, I still think, you know, the Miz should be in singles, you know. He's like such a dedicated dude. People don't give him a lot of credit.
As much
the Miz,
as, like,
you know,
his
like,
character drives me nuts. The dude's a workhorse.
Yeah, but he's the, you know, the thing that really fucked him in his career is that he won the title when no one wanted him to win, and it kind of haunted him, you know, for years. Like, and it's not his fault. It was just like he wasn't, you know, maybe he wasn't ready, and they just kind of pushed it, like Roman's first, you know,
like his first run with
you know. But I thought it was fine. I would say the ending is my favorite. I can't see, like, with The Rock and the build-up, the WWE hasn't been any better in the last 10 years than it has now. Thank God Vince's fucking ass is out. And Triple H basically said that at the beginning. He's like, new era, it's me who's behind the fucking thing, let's go. And I always will trust Triple H because he likes Motorhead.
Dude, yep. 100%.
It's like on that fact alone, you know.
Well, dude, and what's so cool
people
is
like, oh, he likes Motorhead. He must be a fine guy.
Dude, yeah, and he's put on for like young bands too. I mean, making sure like Toad Orange played NXT in your house. He had Kane Hill play NXT. He's pushing young artists. Fuck, dude, Post Malone made the soundtrack for 2K24. He put Speed on there. Like,
Yeah.
Triple H, like, he cares about that stuff, and he really cares about
Yeah.
like what the fans want.
He gets it. And even though I was a Bret Hart fan growing up, and he was tied to Michaels,
Yep.
so that always was like, but he gets it, and I'm actually happy to be a WWE fan again now that this is and I think last night the main event was the best. Rock turning heel is honestly the best thing they could have done.
Absolutely.
I think you can't screw Cody again. He'll be buried if he does. I don't necessarily. I want to see Roman keep it because he's just been such a great champion.
Yep.
But if he wins again, Cody's fucking toast. Like, they have to give him the belt tonight.
Because people are going to keep riding for him if he doesn't win tonight. He's going to lose all the momentum going into it. And I think him losing last night cemented the win for tonight.
Yes. They're going to make him go to the gauntlet. And I honestly think, now my question to you.
Okay.
This is going to be the hard thing to do. Do you give Cody a clean win after a year of fighting? Or do you get Rock screwing Roman, which after the spear last night cements that in?
Because I know people have been talking about
that. If you let Rock kind of screw him, then it feels like Cody didn't win it, right? It felt like he won it because of a circumstance.
Here's the other side of it. Okay, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Rock won't. I don't think Rock's going to turn on Roman necessarily. I think we're going to hear the glass shatter, and we're going to hear a four-wheeler come down that ramp, and I think Stone Cold's going to come in and he's going to fuck some shit up.
Or maybe at the beginning of the match and start taking people out.
Yeah.
Because even if Stone Cold did that at the end and then Cody still won, it's still, to me, after seeing this a year where he lost last year, you almost want a clean victory.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
You almost want to be like, this guy earned it, Stone Cold didn't help him, The Rock didn't help him, this fucker,
He beat
it kind of has to be for the respect. Maybe the WWE doesn't matter. As long as Cody wins, then it's like doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? But I think they did a good thing last year, and in retrospect, and they learned from Blutista. Where if they gave Cody the belt last year and didn't let him earn it, like for a year, people would have been like, man, he came back at the Rumble and won it. That's same thing as Blutista. Like, to force. I think to smash him down for a year. And, I mean, everyone knows Roman's taking time off. He wants time off. So it's like beyond that. I think, though, something has to set up Roman and Rock. Like, you have to do it.
I think it's going to start a good feud between them. And I think, they were talking a little bit about Rikishi and how, like he's proud of Jimmy and Jay and stuff. But he's like, that feud is like tearing apart our family kind of a thing. So I'm like, is Rikishi going to come in and kind of split some stuff up? Is he going to cause some shit in a face way? Is he going to come in and kind of save the family?
Right. Do you like save the family? Yeah. I would think that if they were going to do that, they should have sprinkled him the last couple of weeks around, being like, okay, well, but it's going to be interesting. I think Bloodline rules, like, you're going to have someone like a Stone Cold or something.
Yeah.
Or John Cena.
I was going to say, people were talking about Cena coming in.
Well, because, like, you're going to have someone save the day and make it, and Stone Cold was always known to, like, let's do it fair. If he was a ref, I mean, CM Punk also, like, how do you get, him into a SummerSlam match? I still think he needs to finish business with Seth before he goes to
Cody or anybody else.
Anyone else, yeah.
I definitely want to see. So, like, for tonight,
or Drew.
I want to see Drew win.
Yes,
because I love Drew, and
he deserves it.
And then push CM Punk onto Drew. But
I wanted to see Drew and Seth, because Seth was so outspoken about hating CM Punk.
Yeah.
So, like, that needs to happen.
I think, maybe, I don't know, because they've been building up Drew versus CM Punk a little bit.
Yeah, they have.
With all the beef there, which,
yeah,
maybe that will be...
Or a three-way.
Dude, three-way, or maybe make that the turnaround is Drew beats Rollins, Punk comes in, feuds with Drew for a few months, beats
Has
Drew
his
next
title.
year, gets the title, and then Punk and Rollins restart their feud. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many different ways.
I hope Punk doesn't get injured. He's too old. He's been injured like through AEW through this. It's almost getting scary that this dude's like too fragile.
Dude, yeah, he. Oh man, I don't know. It's been so exciting to be a wrestling fan the past year.
It's so good. And I do fear AEW needs to figure it out, man, because it seems like WCW. I love Tony. I love all the wrestlers there, but someone needs to steal their ship, and it's like you can't have CEOs as wrestlers. You know, it's too much. You just need one person to be like, "Yo, this is the way it's going to be," and it's like Tony needs to have a backbone because I fear that like AEW without good storyline, the quality of the matches, and I'm a Bret Hart fan, so I love good quality matches. But if you don't have direction,
it's not so fun, because I think right now the most exciting story that I've been paying attention to in AEW has been Christian Cage and Adam Copeland.
Right.
Since Edge came over.
But sad. Let's take a look. Both WWE guys.
So they know what's up. They've been doing it. And I think Tony needs to stop worrying about signing everybody under the sun and get creative in check and make some really, really, really good stories. Because the thing is, the pay-per-views that AEW has done have all been incredible. I love the pay-per-views. All the matches are so good. They keep you on the edge of your seat the whole time. And that's super important. But you have to have a story element to it, because otherwise the match didn't mean anything. Like, when I first started watching it,
Sami Zayn and Bloodline, I mean, all that brought it into, like, you know, the Usos breaking up, like, and Paul Heyman, and, you know, you think, okay, now CM Punk's coming back, will Paul Heyman screw? You know, there's so many, but that's making a good storyline is so important, and like when this finally ends tonight, which it will, with Roman losing, where they take it, do they do the same thing that the Nation did? Now that would be cool, where The Rock is basically, fuck you, Roman, you're done. I'm the final boss. But I'm basically keeping the bloodline going with me, you know, and then maybe he brings in a new person or whatever that's a cousin or something. But SummerSlam needs to be set up within the next couple of weeks too, because I think that would be kind of cool. Where it's like, okay, Roman, you're fucking gone, whatever, but I'll see you at Summer. It needs to be Rock versus Roman SummerSlam. Like, it makes sense.
Give Roman like a redemption arc. To kind of build himself back up a little bit. And I don't think he necessarily needs to be brought back up to like a huge title run. But
no.
To be credible again after getting knocked down. And make
and I mean, it's the win for Cody is going to feel so big. It's like, I mean, how many years? I think it was great that the WWE saw value in long-term champions, because AEW really haven't done that, where they're like, you know what, fuck it, we're keeping the belt on Roman for another year, and you know what, all the fans know that he's not going to lose it at a weird pay-per-view. Everyone knew that when he won last year, he was going to fucking have it for a whole year. Like, no one was like, you know, like, no one's like, oh, he's losing, like, so it's like, but that makes it like, dude, whatever, how many days, it's like Cody's going to defeat this person, like a Hulk Hogan had, like, for so long. And it's going to mean a lot. It's like,
it's going to be so cool. You know? And I'm stoked for every match tonight, because every match tonight should be a pretty good one.
Yeah, like, I agree. And now that whole thing that's cool about having night one, night two, and this is the first year they really kind of did it. And I know there's risk in doing it, is Seth going to be 100% for his match? You know, they're tying that in. So you could risk Seth getting injured, which they did. If he got injured, then he's, whatever.
He's done for.
That is a risk. But I like the playing on, if you watch night one, night 2 could be different because of what happened night 1.
So
I
for
like that kind
anybody
of
that didn't see night 1 before
makes you
going
watch
on to
both.
2, man, you gotta watch night 1 because it was really good. Every match was super fun. Like, they were all definitely
I think it was overall was good, but maybe most of it was just setting up for this.
Yeah.
You know,
I think a couple things could have been a little shorter. The Rhea Becky match, though, that was a very good match. That was
for
super
Becky
fun.
having 102 temperature.
Dude,
like,
Rhea aiming for the strep throat. I was so glad that they let her retain.
Well, and they need to, and I think there's a lot of promise with Triple H being underneath it all. Yeah. And I think with 2 nights, it gets a lot of these matches that probably wouldn't have been on if they just had 1 night. Yeah. And I want to see someone like Braun Breaker kind of get his due.
Dude,
they got to figure out the tag team stuff, and I think it's always been an issue with WWE is they've made the Intercontinental mean something, which is rad. They made, obviously the WWE title means something, but the little belts, and I get like you're gonna have them kind of be throwaways because they're low level belts, but get a team in there, like make them like a Road Warriors.
Yeah.
So, that's like
make them credible, because watching Braun, some of the highlights from Stand and Deliver yesterday. Dude is just a monster, and watching him the last couple months on NXT with Baron Corbin, the dude's just a machine, and he can beat the piss out of anybody.
He's fucking cool. Yeah, he's gonna be like another Brock Lesnar, basically.
Yeah, he's gonna be just as much of a threat, and more exciting.
Getting fucking getting Triple H involved, being the head of creative, basically now Vince is gone, and getting Dunn out of there, like a shot they shot with Sami Zayn walking in, that was so powerful.
Yeah.
Like, they never would have done that with the Kevin Dunn behind it, because he's like, oh no, I just like these. But to have that, like, even though it was super staged, but to have him walk out and see Kevin Owens and like real time, not a pre-tape,
that happened before
that was
he came
fucking
out.
Cool.
Dude,
I'm sure there's risk. There was risk that, like if something went wrong, you're pretty much bringing into like, the match, and if it sucked, it sucked. But like it's cool to see like that behind the scenes, and then boom, WrestleMania. It's like pretty cool visual as a fan to see someone.
That whole stage set for WrestleMania this year, incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
so clean. I like it more than last year's. To be perfectly honest.
Me too.
And it's just, but this I like the feel of it. I like the colors. I like everything about it, and it doesn't feel like the ramp is 1,000 feet long. Like it.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it was getting so crazy with that. Sometimes it's like any run-ins that like take the specialist away, because it's like he's got to come like a million miles just to
But the one entrance that I was cool with that last year. Edge's entrance.
Yeah.
Dude, his entrance last year gave me chills.
Sick.
I was like,
that was cool.
Like, this is fucking crazy. Like,
so crazy to see him in AEW. I mean, I really hope AEW. I think I was scared because it's so much like WCW, and I've been a fan of AEW from the start. But when you let like wrestlers like Kenny and the Bucks be pretty much CEOs within the organization, even though I love them, it's like they're gonna develop things, and that's why I think CM Punk made a lot of fuck ups in AEW, which basically doesn't lead me to be the biggest fan of his. But I think when you have wrestlers that are like big players within the company that are legit CEOs or whatever they are, I think that from the start, just like it was with Kevin Nash when he was the writer in WCW towards the end, like he was wrestling and writing. Yeah. So like basically you're gonna have issues just right there.
Yeah. Like, you just got to get creative under control a little more, and get some people that are dedicated to just that, and have your guys that are dedicated to just wrestling.
Yeah.
And make it happen, and those matches will be that much better and more enjoyable to follow. And because like I love the House of Black. That's the best faction in AEW.
Yeah.
But right now it just kind of feels like it's not going any specific direction. Like Julia Hart's kind of doing her own thing with Sky, and the whole thing with her and Sky doesn't feel like it's really going anywhere. Like, it just kind of happened, and now they just kind of show up together. Like, Julia, by all means, is a phenomenal wrestler compared to, 2 years ago. She's definitely become so much better, and all the guys in House of Black, incredible. I mean, dude, Malachi is just a genius, first of all.
Yeah.
The dude is so smart.
And I think too, it's like you want to keep those type of people, so you gotta, because they're creative people, like like Bray was. Like, I think if WWE didn't let Bray have the room that he did, he would have went to AEW, because he's such a creative, driven person.
He is.
But Tony needs to believe in long term storylines. That means like, hey, this might suck for 4 months until people get it, but once it's on a rail. Like, it's going to be good, but you have to have that see-through to be like...
Yeah, you got to be able to look ahead and go through some
we got to get next year, but in order to get to next year, we have to, like, do this,
Because they're all in and all out. I mean, that's their WrestleMania. They need to build those stories up to All In. And All In's going to do that much better if they keep doing it.
And the long-term storylines, and having people be, you got Kenny out probably forever. You got, you got a lot of issues, it can turn around, but I think you're in this, like, you have your dedicated fans, but if you don't figure out how to you can't be WWE ever, because that's not a path to go, so they can't act like them. But you can't also just do this, like, indie love thing, which I love, man. I get it. I'm a Bret Hart fan, of course. I love that. But you got to have, like, how do you find where you can't be WWE, but you can't keep doing what you're doing? Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, they got to find the balance with enough edge. They got to be able to push the envelope a little bit in the ways that WWE won't. And
now they're going to Netflix. Yeah. So who knows?
Who knows what's going to
happen? Some of the shit The Rock's been saying, I'm like, is it Attitude Era?
Dude, it's like last night when he told the ref he's going to fire him, he was like, fuck you. I was like, oh shit. I was like, all right. I was like, we're going back in time a little bit here. Like, oh, dude,
if they're on Netflix coming up soon, and they already have their deal locked in, so they're like, okay, USA, you don't like some of the swearing or whatever, basically, we're already in next year, we're going to be good. Sure, it's not getting kicked off, but they already have their new girl lined up, so it's like...
See, I'm stoked because, I know people have been like, oh, is the PG era going to end finally? Is it going to go back to, more PG-13, MA? And I think Netflix might be the thing that makes it happen finally. And I feel like a lot of those wrestlers would be really stoked for it too. Because,
I think,
like, look at Rollins and Drew.
Do it.
Those guys need, like, they could do some of that really aggressive Attitude Era type stuff, Ruthless Aggression type era stuff.
Yeah.
And they'd be excellent at it, but they can't right now.
Yeah. And also you can color in the lines of a lot more things. And like a person like Bray Wyatt that had a lot of ideas and creativity, like you can explore them more when you don't have those boundaries,
Yeah.
And like I think WWE really fucked up in not putting Bray in the Hall of Fame this year. I think this year was
I was reading about that actually. And Mike Rotunda himself did say too, he's like, you know what? He's like, I can understand why they wouldn't do it this year to give him a little more time, but it also would have made perfect sense to do it this year.
Yeah.
Did you watch the documentary yet?
No, I'm gonna cry.
Dude, I was crying like a little baby yesterday morning. I was like, oh my God, it really got me. It was incredible. It was so well done. And man, I think Bo Dallas is going to be coming back pretty soon. I think Uncle Howdy's going to be making a return.
I mean, dude, I mean, it would make sense. And if they can do some, even Uncle, whatever, what is his name?
Yeah,
if they
Uncle
can
Howdy.
would be rad, because everyone kind of knew that what was Bray or was gonna be, or I'm sorry, was gonna be Bo.
Yep.
Like everyone was kind of talking about it, but if you can take a character that was around when his brother was around, you know, and kind of like morph it into what Bo, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it takes like a piece of Bray and his idea and his creativity and brings it to life.
Yeah, and they talk about it a lot in that documentary. Like they really talk about it a lot and how it kind of came to be, where like Bo was coming back because they both wanted to go back. And
so see, I didn't see it. Did they talk about how he was legit going to be that uncle dude?
Yeah, because they really went in. So I won't spoil more than that, because
no, spoil it for me, because I'm going to cry through the whole thing anyway. So feel free.
So,
I'm not.
Essentially, they talked about Bray being let go, the first time, and how they were like, yeah, like there was just they couldn't see eye to eye for a little while, like Bray and the creative team, and there was a little bit of pushback going both ways, and they needed to separate for the time being. So Bray had a whole year of no wrestling, and he started painting and got even further into his creative stuff, and him and Bo actually shot a pilot for a reality show where they were going to be like hunting cryptids and stuff like that.
Wow.
And so they show some footage from it, which was really cool. And
that's crazy.
But
wow.
Then they were talking, because they were spending even more time together again and doing all these things together again like they were back in the day. They were talking about wrestling and how much they both missed it. And they were like, well, let's see what happens. And Bray and Triple H reconnected, and it went from an offer to spitballing ideas for the return for an hour and a half, and bringing in a new creative guy and spitballing with him. And I mean, dude, the Fiend was gonna come back. Like,
crazy.
They show the what the new outfit was gonna be for the Fiend. And it had so many cool little details, like he involved his kids in it, and like it made you melt, because you were like, oh my god, like he cares so much, and it was so cool. And so yeah, the Fiend was supposed to come back, and he was talking about like how Uncle Howdy kind of came around, and it was going to be Bo, because Bo wanted to come back as well, and they wanted to be like how it was back in the day, where they were working together. They got to be each other's best friends and brothers again, and they wanted to go back and just be monsters and have fun. And so yeah, Bo being Uncle Howdy, they had people dress up as the Firefly Funhouse characters. They were talking about that Pitch Black match with LA Knight and how theatrical it was, and like all of a sudden here's Uncle Howdy up here, and he jumps off and dives.
Right? Was it? I wonder if it was it actually Bo at that time, or did they have
the whole time it was Bo?
So that was another even aspect, is that all this was already being played out. Yep. Wow.
Yeah, they were already playing it all out. The whole time it was Bo. Minus when he showed up at the end of Extreme Rules, because he was wearing like kind of the precursor to the Uncle Howdy mask, teasing Uncle Howdy, and then they brought Bo in as Uncle Howdy officially after that. And so that whole time Uncle Howdy would be on screen and show up, that was Bo, like doing it all. And so yeah, they had all these plans for the Fiend to come back, to really just move the needle with that story and Uncle Howdy. And so it sounds like, if you watch the end, if you go through the credits and you get to the end of the documentary, the lantern is sitting there, Bray's lantern, and it flickers back on, and then all of a sudden Uncle Howdy grabs it and walks away. Like, dude, I'm getting like chills talking about it right now, because I'm like, oh, this is so fucking
It's cool. Like, dude, I have a really fucking crazy story when I heard about that. So I'm all excited. So this is before the news broke. So I'm obviously not excited about it. So, anyways, Sarah and I are seeing Springsteen.
Okay.
It's the day of Bruce Springsteen, right? Mm-hmm. We're at Gillette Stadium where the Patriots play and everything. And Sarah and I got like pretty good seats. We're on the 50-yard line of Gillette Stadium, like, the stage isn't right in front of us, but it's like a half 50 yards away.
Okay.
And, so we get there early and we're sitting. And, I'm on my phone a little bit while, it's like an hour half early. And then I find the news out then. And it's right before the concert.
Oh.
And it's just what I'm saying. It's like I went from being really excited to like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And to know that Bo could do this and maybe in the same vein that his brother would have approved of is like crazy. Because I don't want to see him come back as Bo Dallas. I want to see him come back as like this honor machine of his brother.
Yeah, carrying on the plans that they had and kind of carry out the storyline, even if it's a little different. And people are speculating too, maybe Alexa Bliss comes back with him because she had a kid, so she's been off for the last while because she wanted to be home with her kid. Well, now coming back.
Well, then that ties it to it too, and then you can have it like someone else get Rowan back. Is it or
Eric Rowan?
Yeah.
Yep.
With the beard, right? Yeah.
Get him in.
Get him to come back.
And Braun, because Braun, he's around.
This is what I'm saying. Braun could come back, and then have all that.
You bring back the Wyatt family.
Bro, this is like the shit like wrestling fans love. Yeah. Like the tie-ins, like, you know what I mean?
Dude, when you watch it, you'll have to message me, because when you see the updated Fiend suit, you're gonna lose your mind. It's so cool. He was a visionary, man. Like, and then talking about punk and hardcore, he was like a DIY mentality dude. Like, he put it into life. Like everyone knew when you were seeing Bray Wyatt, especially with you knew it was his birth. Like, it was like his idea that he had to like fight for. And I think that first release was like him, like, guys, listen, fucking trust me. Like, when you watch it, you'll go, man, like, he was really going through it. And then when they talk about him coming back, and then his
that first speech was like,
dude, it's
that
so
first
cool.
speech gave me goosebumps, because he was like, I had a I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, I went through a really dark time.
Yeah. And
like, that was not like,
I mean, like, he's crying out in the ring, and all the lights are on him, and all the fireflies are out, and like, oh, dude, and they play part of that promo in the documentary, and that's when it really got me. I was like, God damn it. Like, because I remember back when he was Husky Harris. Like, I remember watching that season of NXT, and I'm like, holy shit, like, that's so crazy, to think that far back. He was just this...
And he made his own, and like, no one tied it. He was like one of the only third generation...
Yeah.
Second or third, that no one was like trying to tie to his father. Like, he never lived in his father was a huge superstar, IRS, but no one was trying to like tie them together, because he was so much of his own.
They let him be him, and they talk about it too, and like, him going back to developmental, and like how much Dusty loved him and loved what he was doing, because when he got sent back to developmental after being Husky Harris for a while, he gets sent back, and he went back, and he knew what he was going to do. Like, he had his plan, because like, he loved Waylon Mercy, and he was just like, I'm going to take that, and I'm going to put my spin on it and run. And all of a sudden, the next decade, you have one of the most creative minds in wrestling doing some of the most insane things, like some of the best promo work, some of the best vignettes, some of the best matches. Like, dude, he knew.
The Fiend even brought it, man. Like, I even loved it because it gave me a Mick Foley feel, but to another level, because it was like Jason, but like a real. I mean, and he even got bigger, and he would stand there, and it was like Kane, but a different. It was like a mystical kind of Mick Foley Kane. It was using a mandible claw, and it was like...
Yeah, like, you took everything about demonic Kane and Mankind and amplified it times 10, and that was the Fiend. Like, he was just scary, and he was so threatening, because, like, Mick Foley is one of my favorites.
And WWE fucked him towards that first run with the loss and the black shit coming out of... It was... I don't know. Like, there was a certain point where they're like... and I get where he was like... probably frustrated because it was a shell of what he wanted to do.
Yeah, it wasn't the vision that he necessarily had.
Yeah.
And oh, dude, I could go on and on about all that stuff, but I know we both got other things we got to do, and
Yes.
take care
Well,
of it.
let's put a bow on it,
Yeah,
brother.
yeah.
This is awesome,
Dude.
Thank you for having me. Also, let's be in touch tonight for night 2.
Oh,
we will send some texts.
You already know I'm on it because I will be having my root beer, sitting down, watching a little Mania, and living the fucking edge life. And
Love
it's gonna
it.
be sick. But dude, we'll get you back on here sometime soon.
Let me know when it drops. I'm excited. I'll promote it.
This will be out. Let's see, not tomorrow, but the following Monday. So we got this shit coming out every Monday. Tomorrow, or I guess now in the past for people that are watching, we've got Cade, formerly of Narrow Hearts, of Glaciers. He filled in on Fit for Autopsy. He did million bands, and he's got the voice of an angel, as Hinder would say. So it should be a good one, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. I hope everyone enjoyed the little flying solo episode today with Nick. And we'll bring Nick back because I love Nick.
I'd love to be back, man. This was a lot of fun. 2 hours of chat with my brother.
Dude.
It was a lot of fun. We covered all the grounds.
Yeah, we covered a lot, and there's a million more things we could talk about. So thank you for hanging out, man.